What is up, everyone? My name is Brandon, guys, and this is Creative Guys Productions. Thank you for clicking on the link, hanging out, hitting the like button, all that fun stuff. I appreciate it. I have got a different little project here today. I've got this here. This is a SpyderCo Knife blank. A gentleman from my hometown is actually an attorney there. Pretty sure, I know his dad represented me once. Pretty sure he did too. I think he's the third of 3 generations of attorneys in his family. And I don't know this to be fact. All I know is like my perception and the perception that me and like people I knew have, but they were the heavy hitters in town. They were the heavy hitting attorneys. Like if you needed a good attorney, that's who you went to. Either of the two. I never had an experience with the original. But anyway, he ordered this SpyderCo blank. He really liked the blank and asked me if I would put some handles on it and make a sheath for it. So that is what I'm going to do today. Hopefully, I may be able to get this all done in one day because it's early. It's only about 10:30 right now, and that should give me time to get the epoxy down, dried, and I can shape it this evening. And then we're on to the sheath, which takes a while, but we're gonna see if we can get it all done in one day. Let's take a look at this thing. I don't have the model number on me at the moment. It is the SpyderCo MT38 Mule Team blade. It's a flat grind design. I think I've only ever seen flat grinds out of SpyderCos. Take protector off. That's what we're looking at there. I'll get up closer. It's a flat design. M398 is the steel. I've never heard of the steel before. But reading into it, it seems like a stainless. It's not a stainless. It has a high chromium content and a high palladium content. And so a little bit lower carbon. So what you're gonna run into with steels like this, there's nothing wrong with them. They will be tough as all shit. You're not gonna be able to break this knife very easily. However, what you get in toughness, you lack in hardness. And so this edge, if I had to guess, isn't gonna hold up too great. It's got kind of I'm looking at it here. It's got kind of a coarse finish on the secondary bevel, which me personally, I'm not a huge fan of. I like it really, even on a grind that's not polished on the flats here, or on the actual primary bevel. I like a sharp, a polished secondary bevel. It just cuts smoother. You get rid of all those grime lines in there and polish up, and it just cuts like butter. This is going to be a little bit rougher, but like I said, it being not as hard, it may be beneficial to leave it that way. I'm gonna get up close and I'll show you some of the knife here. You can listen to some pretty music while we do it, and then we'll get to work on this thing. So I got that put away. So we are doing what I've got here. We got 2 pieces of G10. This I know is a 1/4 inch thick. It is amazing at how heavy this G10 is. I don't use G10 a lot. I use a lot of micarta. But this, I mean, it is substantial. This is, I bet this doubles the weight of that blade, which is really interesting for what we're gonna use. And then this piece, the orange piece, a 1/4 inch thick. This is gonna be my liner. I think this is 3/32. Zero that out, but I am not 100% sure. Yeah. Nope. We are at 1/32 inch thick. So that's gonna be my liner. For these now, again, I don't use G10 a whole lot. And I know that from everything I've read, wood cutting tools are just useless against G10. Basically, any wood cutting blade you try to put this thing through, it's gonna eat up alive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score this with either a razor blade or my little scribe back here. I'm probably gonna try a razor blade first. I'll put a new one in my knife here and score it with that. And then I'm gonna take it out to the metal cutting bandsaw, little porta band out there, to cut my blanks out for this so that we can get rolling. I'm also gonna be using black G10 pins for this, and we'll get them cut up with basically what we need to do is we need to get the scales glued to the liner, epoxy the liner, that needs to dry. Then we'll drill holes in it through the tang of the blank, run the pins through, glue those together, let that dry, and then we'll be able to shape them all up. So that's the plan for right now. So let me get some measurement tools and we'll get to working. Welcome back. Got these things cut out. Took a little ingenuity. Had to get the little M12. What do you call that? I can't. Whatever kind of saw that is. In order to get through it, because the metal cutting bandsaw didn't quite have enough throat. There's a joke in there somewhere. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So yeah, all I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna quit talking here in a second. Take some sandpaper. I'm gonna scuff up one of the sides, and then scuff up the side I'm gluing it to here, basically just to help that epoxy have some more to bond to, so I don't have any issues there. And then we'll get some epoxy poured out, get it mixed up, get these glued on, and then wait. And then once it's dry, we'll get on to the next parts of it. So let's get that done and we'll be moving on. We are back. I have got the scales. They have been drying for a few hours now. To put it in perspective, it is 3:15, so it's been plenty long enough. What's that? Okay. Gotta make sure I was in focus. So I've talked enough. I'm gonna quit talking now for a little bit. All we're gonna do is go cut this into two. Right down our seam right there, if you can see that. You probably can't, probably too far away. And yeah, then we're ready. We'll get that knife back out and we'll figure out exactly where the pins are going, what pins we're using. We're off to the races. Let's do it. so we got the holes drilled in here. I've outlined the knife just with the Sharpie so I know where I'm cutting. One issue I ran into, so when I drill my tangs out, I use the same drill bit you saw me use drilling this out, which is an F size drill bit, which is just over 1/4 inch. It's like 0.257, I think, as opposed to 0.25. And what that does is it makes it so that I can get a 1/4 inch pin through. These are 1/4 inch pins. So if you do a letter F bit, it just makes things fit easier. This knife has holes drilled. Actually curious as to what size they are. It's SpyderCo, so I'm sure it's standard. Let's see. Yeah, so these are 3/8 inch holes. I don't have 3/8 inch pins. I didn't realize the discrepancy when we talked on the phone. I kind of do wish I had 3/8 inch pins, but it would be at least another week before they got here. No worries, I have a plan. And what my plan is that normally when I glue these, I add extra holes in them also. So if you see, this is one of my carnivore carvers. Let's get you in there. You can see I have holes in there. Now this hole and this hole are the size F drill bits. This is a 1/2 inch drill bit. These, it's the letter above an 1/8 inch drill bit. I don't remember what that letter is exactly, or what the exact measurement is, but it's basically so I can fit an 1/8 inch pin there. Now I'm only going to use 2/4 inch pins in this, and what I do with these is I fill these voids with epoxy. Now what that does, let me get you back in frame here. What that does is when that epoxy hardens, it essentially turns that epoxy into pins. So instead of just 3 pins, you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You've got 13 1/8 inch pins and then 1/2 inch pins, essentially what it comes down to with this. So what I'm going to do is, you'll notice, obviously we're talking about 3/8 and this is a 1/4 inch pins, so there's an 1/8 inch in there of float room. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pack that float room with epoxy around that pin in the middle, get it clamped real tight, and as that cures, that's actually gonna create what would be a 3/8 inch pin, and it's only gonna have a 1/4 inch pin on the outside, essentially, is what that's gonna do. So it should all work out. Right now, we're gonna go out and get this cut. And then we'll shape the top and we'll get it glued up and we'll be off to the races. Again, if you've seen any of my videos that I'm actually talking in, I talk too damn much, I'm sorry. Hopefully you get something from the information that I have. That's the goal. Anyway, let's go back outside. To the favorite part of any knife maker, and that's hand sanding. Basically what we need to do, this top part of the scales here, this is the only time you have to finish it. Once it's on the knife, you can't get to that without scratching the blade. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this part up first, then we're gonna do the glue up. So I'll record some of this hand sanding. I'll leave you out of most of it because it's really, really boring, but I will let you know kind of how far I took it. I'm thinking 800 to 1,000 grit is kind of my thought of where this needs to go, but we'll see. And sorry, I cut my head off there. Set the camera up wrong. Yeah, well. All right, let's get in here and look at this. You can see kind of what the finished product looks like. I took that up to 1,000 grit. Hopefully you can make that out okay. Oh, here's my timer for the temper. For the knives I have in the temper oven. All right, and we're back. Hopefully you can hear me okay because the mic's not quite pointing the right direction, but honestly, you've seen enough of my face and we used to get this show on the road. So we're basically gonna go through the exact same process we went through when we glued the scales to the liners, with one exception. So the first thing I'm gonna do is fit this on. The way that it's going to go, just like that. And then we'll get our tape out here. Tape this blade up. Two reasons really. One, even though it's impossible to keep all the epoxy off of it, we're gonna keep as much epoxy off of it as possible. And two, when we go to sand this blade or the handles and shape them, the last thing you want to do is jack up the finish on the blade. And let me tell you, that is really easy to do. I have ruined knife blades like that I've made, and it makes for a real bad day. All right, sit tight. All right, there we go. That's what we're left with. Now we'll let that set up, give it a couple hours. It's 5-minute epoxy, so after 5 minutes it's no longer workable. I think it's like a 25-minute cure time. And then there's like another hour hardening or something like that. So we'll give it a couple hours and we'll come back to it. All right, well, it is the next day. I got distracted yesterday, so I let this cure overnight. It is ready to go. Kind of see that there. It is, we're glued up. So next I gotta go cut off these pins and hit the grinder, and we'll start shaping this thing, and we're almost done. right, well, this is how far we've gotten on this so far on the belt grinder. Obviously you saw kind of changing belts and whatnot. I started out with a 36 grit belt just to kind of knock some things down. And then I went up to a 120 grit aluminum oxide belt, and then over to a 120 grit aluminum oxide scallop belt, a 1-inch belt, then up to this 220 grit belt, scallop belt. Now we're getting ready to go inside and start hand sanding. I'll take you along for part of it. I'll let you miss most of it because it's not fun, but I'm gonna take this up to about 1,000 grit, and then we'll hit it on the buffing wheel, and this part will be done. All right, we have finished this bugger up. It is ready for a sheath, which is going to be the next video. So subscribe, like the thing, do all the things, all the buttons, all the socials. I appreciate it. You can find my social links in the description of this video. Hopefully you're watching on Rumble. If not, hop over to Rumble. It's worth the switch. I used to put it on YouTube, but you know, whatever. So yeah, we are all done with this G10 handle. We do have to make a sheath for it. I'm going to actually do that right now, but it's going to be a different video because I'm sure this one is plenty long. I'm going to try to cut this down quite a bit because this is a heck of a process. It takes a while, and I filmed a whole bunch of it, but I'm happy with it. This G10 is beautiful. The color's great. There's a little bit of a, not a texture on the handle, but like a texture in the pattern that you can see, so that looks nice. I think with G10 it is a little slick. So like wet use, you're just gonna have to hang on and be gracious with it. But all in all, I call it a success. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Later.